You have people that, are really going to try to do something. They'll actually do it, or they'll just kind of like not do it. So, and it's cool. Like, you don't, like, I have some friends that just, it's not for them, and that's totally fine. But you
Yeah,
have some friends that
absolutely.
always like say like, hey, I want to get started with this or that, but then they don't actually follow through. So,
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Autonomous Income. I'm your co-host, Deuce Noble.
and I'm your co-host, DJ. We got a lot to talk about today, Deuce.
What we
And
got?
we got a lot to talking about entrepreneurship, some upgrades to some of the tools and software and services that ourselves, the entrepreneurs can leverage. And also, last but not least, so yeah, Sir Stash, how you been, man? How are things going?
Man, more money, more problems, they say. Right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Great power comes great
Absolutely.
responsibility. All that good stuff, right? But now overall, blessed and just
That's good. That's good. So for context, we're interviewing several entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, as we like to kind of highlight and specify on. And those are individuals that work in and also have businesses on the side and building that out. And, if they're deciding, some entrepreneurs that we know want to keep both worlds and, have where they're working and also keep the entrepreneurship going on, and they can kind of run both of those parallel. And some, they have paths that they want to kind of get out of corporate or whatever the case is. So we like to talk to all kind of aspects of those. Patrick was a colleague of ours in a previous corporate America, and we wanted to basically interview on him on how that was going, and just all the things like some of the endeavors. He and I dabbled in some real estate deals back in the day as well. So just really get a context of how the entrepreneurship is, and for those people that are seeking to be entrepreneurs, there probably some gems that you can start from somebody who's actually doing it and starting to really scale from their entrepreneurship endeavors.
So, Pat, our audience, they know us a little well. EJ and I have been here with them for a while, but you know what? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you've been up to and what you got for us today. What can we wow our listeners with?
from Houston, Texas. Got to shout out Prairie View A&M University, the best HBCU in the
Okay.
land. You know
All
what I'm
right,
saying?
I
Yeah,
was
I'm
talking
going
about the
there.
I knew that was
best.
coming.
We're not
I'm
going to go to
starting
the
there.
best.
I'm starting there, dudes. I'm starting there.
It's a pretty decent
I'm
one, but
starting there. I'm starting
I'll
there.
let you.
I'm starting there.
I'll
Gotta
let you
start
go
there,
ahead.
right?
These two.
Remember, I'm the
these
guest
two.
now. Remember, I'm the guest. I'm the guest now. Remember, all right?
Hey, listen, go ahead.
But currently, I reside in San Antonio. After my stint at Prairie View, got my degree in computer engineering, moved to San Antonio, started my corporate career out here, and met DJ. So I get on the team. Now, our team was probably about 12. And DJ at the time was like, oh, snap, it's another one here, if you catch my drift. And then they set us right across from each other.
They
So I
did.
think he said, like, so the next part was like, our boss, a black woman, she said right, like, one row. EJ said another row, and I said another row. We was like all right there, one row. I
All
don't know
right
why they
there,
said us right
yeah.
there, but we all was in one row. And then we kind of just started topping it up, and he was just like, he just happy another one was there, right? And then we always talking with other colleagues about music. They always wanted us to, check this album out. Did you hear this? You hear that? Et cetera, et cetera. So that's the version. That's the real story that will happen, right? We just like, oh snap, another brother. Be careful, security may come. But the story that if y'all want to keep it, if y'all want to go there, it's just we bonded over music. And we had another colleague who always talked about music too. Somebody was working. He had a gig, and he said, hey, come with me to this gig. I said, all right, cool, whatever. He's all right, cool. I actually showed up. He was like, oh, I'm impressed. Nobody usually shows up. And then the next week, he found out about that last one he got, that last baby he got. He was like, I need to turn this to a business. I need some monies. Because now I got like 4 of them, right? So that's how we kind of bonded. It started to bond over music and entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, it was music once that connection happened and work and everything along those lines. But, Pat just like he had, so Deuce, I'm sure you met people and you've tried to put them off because you and all three of us have had conversations and we have friends, all of us, listeners, viewers, and all this other stuff. You have people that, are really going to try to do something. They'll actually do it, or they'll just kind of like not do it. So, and it's cool. Like, you don't, like, I have some friends that just, it's not for them, and that's totally fine. But you
Yeah,
have some friends that
absolutely.
always like say like, hey, I want to get started with this or that, but then they don't actually follow through. So, Pat was one of the ones that followed through. And that was one thing I always, appreciated about him is like, usually he's just like, hey, like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to not, or, all those other things. And so I noticed that and I was like, okay, cool. And then when he told me that, he kind of DJ'd that really, man, you need to kind of, I think this was before he had little ones. So I was just like, man, he
Hmm.
could turn this into a business. He had freedom of time. And so all those other things. And I had been DJing for a while by that point in time and, all this other stuff. I was really like, this is a good thing to kind of just talk through because I was at that point where, you're at work and you're really trying to, move up in your career. So your main focus on all of those things. And always, regardless, you have to, give 100, 200%, main gigs and all those other stuff. So you don't want to slack or anything as it comes to that. But you want to, if that's getting involved, like with extra time, you also may not have as much to kind of DJ or do whatever you're trying to do in your whole entrepreneurship thing as well. So like sometimes it gets to that point where you have conflicting goals, if you will. But the good thing, like what we're doing, is you can do it weekend. It never really conflicted with work time. And actually, Pat and I had a chance to DJ for our corporation. So we actually got coined and, like
Yep.
we had one of the chairman of the boards coined us. So like, I guess word got out at work or whatever. So that was a pretty cool
Dope.
feeling to be able to do something you do on the side and do that from the company. And of course, you want to check with your companies and make sure you sign the conflict of interest and do all that and make sure you don't have a conflict. But it is cool when you can kind of meld those worlds because a lot of our customers and clients at the time, they came, from this corporation and all that. So either way, that's how we met. That's what, where we start rocking. And then Pat has grown, significant since then. So Pat, what is it like now? That was, years back, as Deuce was talking about, you use tools, you built out a brand and business and you really started to scale. And recently I had a chance to work with one of your colleagues that you kind of, DJ with and all that. So what is it like at this position now? How are you feeling? What's that perspective like? How did you get there?
Yeah, I think you got to remember, like what you kind of just said, you got to find a balance too, right? Are you going to, scale your business or are you going to let your career grow? Sometimes you got to figure out what's more important to you, right? So at this point right now, I'm just kind of riding the wave with the corporate thing, right? And just kind of letting that go as it goes, as it comes, right? If I go up with a promotion, that's great. As long as the checks don't bounce, I'm good. I still got my insurance, right? But baby steps or baby feet, right? One thing I do, I iterate on processes. So when I first started, everything was manual, from grabbing music lists, from contracts, everything was manual. And I kept bumping my head on things. And when I bump my head, I'm like, all right, I gotta automate this. And it helps that I was in IT, right? So it kind of showed me some different things and introduced different tools. So some of the tools I use now, right, is I have a CRM system and I use my manual process, I documented it, and then I had it turned into a automated step-by-step checklist. And I hired somebody to do that because I don't want to be a automation person. I didn't want to be known for this, right? So, I take my bonuses from work. If I get a bonus, right, I take that extra paycheck I may get and I put that towards the business, or I take my earnings and I put that towards these different things I want. So first I figured out my process. Then I took my process and I had it automated in my CRM. So right now I know that from first contact to booking is about a 20-day process, give or take, with most people. So I have checkpoints within each of those 20-day processes when I follow up on that lead. That's what my CRM does. Once they book, I have my CRM send them the contract. It's back end with Square so I can get my monies because you got to pay me, right?
Of course. Of course.
I have I put everything in an Airtable. Which is a software just like Excel, but it's just a web-based
A
Excel
spreadsheet.
document version,
Yeah.
It
spreadsheet. Yep.
is, yeah.
But you can put
Nice.
you can put a lot more formulas and stuff into that. So I know how long it takes for a lead. I know how long it takes from if DJ books me. I know if he books me in April and his gig's in October, how many days between booking and your gig most people book me for. So I know about 120 days before a gig most people book me, give or take. And that was just me just using that IT stuff and then putting it all into my system and mapping it all out and telling other people that were experts, this is what I want, this is what I need. So Airtable is big for me.
Now that you have your system in place, right, and it's
Mhm.
set up and it works how you like it, is there ever you explored some agentic tools out there as far as essentially multiplying that whole system that you got?
Not everything in my system is automated, right? There are some gaps that take manual processes, and I'm exploring that now, right? I haven't found all the tools yet that I want to use. I tried to do something with ChatGPT, and I just couldn't make it run like I wanted it to run.
Well,
Sometimes
I
you need
got
a
some
person, people for
suggestions.
stuff.
I got
I'm gonna
some.
take them, right? I'm trying to use Claude, Lovable. There's different. I've been just searching, right?
There's a couple. Claude is cool, but Perplexity Computer, it's a great way to build out or build onto systems, and it's kind of, in my opinion, underrated. That's just Deuce's 2 cents.
I
Perplexity is
think
pretty.
that's a corner topic right there. Deuce's 2 cents. I should just make that.
It is, man.
It's
We look,
already
we
a
I got
thing.
them all
It's
the
already a
time.
thing.
We already in the
All right,
mix.
cool.
But the reason why Perplexity is kind of underrated is a lot of people aren't talking about it, but the people who are the ones using it for those systems that they have in a place. In Perplexity Computer coming down to, I think, their pro version, which I just subscribed to maybe a week or so ago because of my work now. I was able to get it half off. So yeah,
That's a
it's
good
pretty great.
thing because
So
for
yeah, that's ten
Perfection
dollars,
Computer,
ten
bro.
dollars, right? $10 a month. So shout out to the job, but also there's a few other ones out there I've seen. Check out Base 44, and Base 44 is a pretty decent one as well as Crew AI. They can tap into a multitude of different systems and multiple agents can do different things for you. Something that's beneficial for someone like you, entrepreneur, building out systems that automate or have manual processes. These type of things can really up the ante for you.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten as far as I could in terms of just some automations, and then I go and check the box or what have you, and certain
Yeah.
emails being automated, and even some of my social media posts being automated. But having an agent do that for me, some stuff that's just in any business, right? Some of the admin stuff you just don't want. You don't want to pay people. You don't want to do your taxes, right? But
No.
some things can be simplified, right? So that way, all I gotta do is just check it, sit down for an hour. That would make my life easier. And if it wasn't for the automations and the tools I use now, I'd probably be divorced and won't have a job and will will
Hey,
DJ for
listen,
money, right?
listen. You just put an idea in my head. I'm over here thinking about, you know what? I'm about to go get an agent to go do my taxes for me real quick. Listen,
I think Perplexity just announced something like Perplexity Computer or something
hey,
like that can
listen.
do your taxes. They
You
just
already,
promoted
hey,
something like
hey,
that.
listen. I'm on
Yeah.
that tonight. Okay.
Yeah, they already
Man, you
did
better
that. But
hurry up. You
yeah,
got about 9 days or so,
a couple
11
Oh
days,
days.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that ain't gonna take too long. Look, we vibe coded out. We be good.
But I think we jumped over one important thing is just like, so Pat, at what point did you really say, okay, I want to do this whole entrepreneurship thing? Like what point did you get serious? Because I know we talked about where you're at now with your systems and processes and
Yeah.
everything like that. And there's probably still some details we can get, like how did you find these? Where did you source those things? Like your
Mhm.
thought process on why you needed that. And I know it was to solve for a pain point you had in your own business, but I guess just to get back to the core of it, what was that final straw where you was just like, I want to do this? Like I really, need to do this.
It was right around COVID, and I was stretching myself too thin, man. And I kind of do that sometimes, but I think that's a good thing about, spouses and kids. They're gonna make you focus. But one, at my job at the time, I was trying to move up. I had a bad experience. I didn't get feedback like in a timely manner when I wanted to or
Mm,
needed to in order to get a promotion. And when I wanted to get the promotion, that's when I got all this negative feedback when there was gaps and checkpoints where it should have been given to me. And that kind of just rubbed me the wrong way, right? Where it was just like that's not good leadership, right? And sometimes you can't pick your boss sometimes at work, right? You may get hired by somebody, and so at that point I was like, you know what? I can't to a point control my corporate career, but there's some factors that I can't control. But what I know I can control is the effort I put into my business.
yeah.
And I know at the time that I did this, I knew I had a system that worked that allowed me to continue to get steady booking. So then I was like, all right, let me put more time to figure out how do I grow? How do I go from, for lack of a better term, your cheap DJ where you throw a couple dollars at and I come spin and, tacky looking setup, everyday basics here. How do I go to those ones that are traveling DJs called by Microsoft and go out to Microsoft and DJ at
Yeah.
Microsoft? How do, when they have a conference, I do those conference events? How do I stand out more so in my market?
Yes, sir.
But that was the first thing that kind of that was the thing that pushed me. And I was seeing it got to a point where I was making in revenue about it was growing every year and it went from double. One year it was like 15, then it was like 30, then it was like 60. And I was like, I'm almost making half or more than what I'm making now. I might be making more than my wife. Like every year you got different. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should put more into this because our revenue was growing. So those are those factors that kind of made me say, let me put more into it and take it from a hustle and make it more of a business and round it out.
No, that's good. That's good. So was there a specific moment where you were just like, was there a payday? Or was that just an accumulation of, I know you said it was
Mhm.
around COVID time, but was it just then like right after that feedback you got, you were just like, you know what, I'm tired with this. Now
Yeah,
I'm going to,
it was that. And then I would say that was kind of the spark. And then I always kind of wanted, there's more to life, right? There's more than
yeah,
just getting up. I worked at different companies. There's no knock to people that just want to work. But to me, there's like a piece of them that's died inside, man. I can't wait to retirement. I don't want to wait to retirement. Like I'm not the person
mm,
that's like down the wall. all right, one more day till I retire. I'm 65. Like, I want to stay active and keep moving. And I knew that, like, if I just worked every day, there's days where all I want to do is be a W-2 employee and call it a day. But I
Yeah.
knew I would be unsatisfied. But I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to do something else. I have an
But
itch. Like, I
that's the
have to
cool thing
create,
about
right?
this. Yeah, that's the cool because Pat and I work with somebody also, and Deuce, you probably know him as well. But this person strategically, like, he's honestly one of my mentors still to this day. Is like he is an entrepreneur. He's been an entrepreneur. For
Forever.
his perspective, forever. He's
Forever.
been doing this forever. Yeah, he was ex-military and everything like that. Retired from the military, went into corporate at the same corporate job that Pat and I were at, and Deuce. And essentially, he chose to do both, and that was one of the things that was super cool to me. And it's just like just thinking because celebrities and these billionaires and all this other stuff, they own multiple businesses, entities, and they don't necessarily might not be the operator there, but that gets into like investing and
Hmm.
all these other there's a lot of ways that you can kind of play the game. And so for me, I really like the fact, and I think Pat, you've mentioned it before, is it's really cool because at work, this dude is super solid. He's, high performer, but then also personally, he's also knocking that out. And that's where I'm just like, you do want these systems or whatever you can do in place
Hmm.
because you can actually really be optimal at a lot of different things if you have a good systems in place or whatever.
He gave
And
me
you
he
can do
gave me
those.
great advice too around that
Yeah.
same time when he told me probably right around I was having bad feedback, having that problems at work, and I was like, man, you ever get people that hate on you for wanting to like, doing something outside? He was like, yeah, that's because they can't do it. So I mean, that's not typical advice. He just kind of sparked something to me. I was just like, I can do this, right? It has been successful, and the problems I'm having are from people that limit me, right? So for your audience, letting them know, right? Like if you have a process, if you have systems, if you have a belief in yourself, right, you can make your dreams or whatever your goal is come to fruition, right? It's going to
Yeah.
take a lot of work and a lot of pain, but a lot of time, Dude said it earlier, how can you hate from outside the club, right? A lot of
You
times
can't even get in.
you're gonna get feedback from people that they're not trying to do what you're trying to do, and you can't listen to them. So you
Exactly.
got to find your community of
So,
those that do what you
yeah.
do to help you understand. Like, okay, you need to buckle up at work, you need to buckle up at your hustle. Like you got to have that community around you.
And that
And I
brings
think
up another topic that I want to touch on, like, should you keep it church and state? Because Deuce and I talk about that all the time. Like, should it be church and state, or is it something that you
I
need to
think
embrace? And go
I
ahead,
think
Deuce.
it depends on avenues, right? In fact, you can answer this as well. But when you think about that, you're out here doing what works best for you and your family, and is doubling down and betting on yourself, right? So, depending on what industries or climate you're in, for example, I have a few other things going on, and they don't necessarily mix, but you can almost bring that to a mix where you can do that, right? If you're doing things in, let's say, real estate, or you're doing things with sports, doing things with DJing and music, right? You could somehow nowadays bring that all together, and you can have a niche lane that you can work in, right? So there's a lot you can do with that.
Yeah.
I personally don't tell nobody unless somehow it randomly comes up. They see me at an event, right? From experiences, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it church and state. People that know they know. I'm not gonna advertise because from my experience, that could be used against you, right? You take a walk, you take a day off. It's like, "Oh, he's probably doing this, right?" People looking at your social media page and you got it automated posting, right? And they're thinking like, well, I thought he was
Yeah.
sick. Why is he posting and he's over here? And
No,
it's
and
like,
you
no, that's an
schedule
old
that
post.
stuff out
Like,
a week, a
yeah,
month.
I
Like, you
scheduled
just
it out,
schedule it
right?
out.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Now that brings
I
up a good point.
separated
Yeah.
only for that. That's the only reason I separated. I think those that are close to me know. But now when I go into the office, it's straight business, right? I think in the past it was kind of more, and it was probably a lack of just, naivete, being naive,
Yeah.
whatever I said. But right, thinking that everybody may have your best interest in mind and things of that nature. Now past
Well,
experience
it's
show me like
also
just
part of growing
separate
up
it.
too.
The point of
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
growing
also
up. So
part of growing up. What I've noticed is like in my experience, the same thing when I was younger, especially as a DJ, because people think automatically associate party, even though you stuck in the booth, like, having to play music, looking equipment. I
I mean,
mean,
you
I get
working,
it. It's like,
you
yeah,
working.
you
yeah,
working. Like,
it's
nobody,
exercise.
when
Yeah.
everybody's done and they go home and you sit there lifting them crates and lifting all kind of other stuff, like,
Mhm.
and maybe controllers these days, but you get the point. It's just like, that's work. Like, it's work. Like, I remember like thinking like, going before different clubs and events and just weddings, right? You could DJ a wedding and people still think, DJ and like, so it could be the type of thing that you're doing also on the side. But that brings up a good point for entrepreneurs is like, you might have to make that decision on if you kind of want to mix those two worlds together. If not, because some people can find great success in that. There was a lady that we worked with also, she retired out of that corporate job because she started telling, other leadership executives essentially that, hey, I think she started Airbnb and she was starting on one of the coasts. And she started to do really well. She was booking a lot of executives, right? And so she made off pretty well to where she was able to retire early and things. But that's her choice. But then if you go back to, let's call him Bill, Patrick and I know. If you go back to that scenario, he's purposely choosing, like, he's just like, hey, I want to be here. I'm really good and effective at this job, and he really likes to work, and he also likes what he does on the side. And there's not a time thing, because I think there's a misconception, and what I wanted to get at before we keep it moving is people think that just because they can do so much within 8 hours, it caps off how much you can do within 8 hours or whatever the case is with your workday. And some people are really good at like being impactful at both, right? Like, I mean, you can do both. Look at these celebrities. That would be like saying Kevin Hart as a brand, right? As himself, he can't do this movie and that movie, or he can't do, a beverage deal or whatever the case is because, he's already doing something. It doesn't make sense in that. But for entrepreneurs, it could potentially look like, oh, well, he's not committing 100% to the job, but that's not the case. Like, you can really be committed and lock in and do all those things and still also be successful. So that's a great point, Pat, that you brought that up. And Deuce, the same thing. I mean, like, that's has that been some of your experience as well?
No, absolutely. Even with seeing people I was in school with, seeing different avenues like that and the different industries I've worked in, you see a lot of that.
Things moving on. So, Pat, I know you dabbled in real estate as well for a little bit. Are you still into real estate? And how did that work also? Because not only were you DJing, you had real estate investments that you were getting into as well, which now that is a really common thing that a lot of people do, So a lot of people do, either if it's passive or active or whatever the case is. That seems to me being entrepreneurship is a lot more tolerated if you're invest in real estate versus, DJing or some of the other things that you may choose to do. So
No,
can
I
you talk
agree.
to a little bit more about that, Pat?
Yeah, so after we did our first couple deals, right? That's though we had that one good one. That first one got us good, man. It got us hooked, right? We had some good deals though, came out on top. But after that, I just started thinking like, man, this now I would say is that anything in life, right? You're gonna get stretched in. You can't be everywhere all the time. You can't serve,
Yeah.
more than two masters, right? More than one master, right? So for that last deal, I said, I gotta focus because that
Yeah.
last deal, every penny out my pocket, right? I was just taking any kind of gigs to keep cash flow coming in personally, right? And I didn't like the feeling. And I had a baby at the time too, and I was like, it's not just me now, right? So now the real estate I have is my house and my office and my wife's office. We rent those out to our entities that we own. But the big plan that we have going forward is like I'm thinking of a venues, right? How can I, vertically integrate my business where they come and we have multiple things that offer. They come for the venue. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, guess what? We have a planner too, right?
Yeah.
And my wife runs
Built
that part of
in.
the business. Oh, we got a photo booth and we got these photo booths also, right? We also have a DJ. You can roll it all into this. So the next big real estate purchase besides another house will be like a wedding venue, corporate venue where people can come and have events and parties and things of that nature.
That definitely makes sense, man. So for our entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs out there, vertical integration in some aspects really works well, and you can kind of tie things together. So, if that's a possibility, it's definitely something you can look into. But yes, deals when it comes to real estate as well. And even for me, that deal in particular, but I was doing multiple deals, so that deal did suck. I think we ended up breaking even on that one. It just took a long time. So you, as real estate investors, you try to time box these certain deals because you have a holding cost, and so that holding cost can eat you alive if you hold on to a deal too long. We had to switch strategies, so. I remember us, having several discussions on like how we can kind of switch it, and we ended up switching the type of deal that we did because our initial exit strategy just didn't work. So
You gotta have
either
good
way,
partners. Just imagine
Absolutely.
if our partners were like, buttholes. This is PG-13, right? We joked about how bad that deal was, right?
yeah,
Everybody put in their money this month. It's just like,
yeah,
it could have gone bad. We could have went to blows with people. Everybody, still cordial, right? We're not
yeah.
we ain't the best of friends in the world, but we can always text each other and say hello. So I would also just, I was lucky and blessed enough to be able to have a friend and a colleague to do these deals with and started my journey with my different businesses. I don't recommend that for everybody, but if you can get that right and you can separate the business part right. So when me and DJ had disagreements, maybe at the time I didn't see it like that, but now business personal, right? Now I can say that sucks, DJ. Now let's go to the gym. And he can
Yeah.
say the same
Yeah.
thing like, hey, that idea is not gonna bring us no money. Go back to the drawing board. You and your wife want to come over. I'm about to get on this grill and make this 12-hour brisket. By the way, DJ is a brisket connoisseur.
Yes.
If y'all don't
Get me
know,
started on
if it's
brisket, man. Yeah.
that could
Right,
be a
we're
whole
about
nother
overdue for
episode.
that too. We're about overdue for
Yeah.
that too. But no, I mean, honestly, I think that's a good thing to touch on as well, and that really resonates with literally everybody listening. So you probably know that as well. It's like when you do entrepreneur, because Deuce was a part of an investment group, right? And they have things as well. I can guarantee, Deuce, right?
Man.
You probably had some difference of opinions, and Pat and I, from DJing to all kind of other stuff, and then you just really integrate those worlds. Is like I think everybody, and you see this with maybe just from my perspective, what I kind of see it as is like maybe Jay-Z and Dame Dash, right? Like them starting as business partners and then like having stuff, and it may not end the way that you want it to at all times, and maybe that's a bad analogy, but bad reference. But I'm just saying, like you have no. What I'm saying is like you have these, you have to find a way to kind of keep those worlds different a little bit, right? Like you have to, like if you have somebody you're working with business at, and that's a part of growth as well. Because I've learned, and I just think that helps. You entrepreneur, and all those other things. When you have business partners, like you really have to know, is it just business or if it's personal? And then if those worlds meld together, if something's going on with one of the businesses, right, that can't be the end all be all, because you got another, whatever the case is, that can come and flip the whole thing around. And like you said, Pat, our first deal was great, right? Like it was a huge success, and that's rare, especially in real estate investing. So our first deal collaborating on, was really good. So it's ups and downs, but it's good to, also definitely be able to kind of keep that, friendship and be colleagues and keep that together, which is
Yeah, I
definitely
heard this
important.
from
So that's
another
cool.
podcast. I'm not gonna plug another podcast, but I did hear this from another podcast. They said treat your business partners like you would a lease, a mortgage, or how long you keep your car, right? So either your business relationship is gonna be a year, it's gonna be a quick trial.
Yeah.
It's gonna be your car. Your car note would last with like 5 to 7 years. Hopefully it's not 7, right? But you want,
Hopefully it's not.
5 to 7 years, right?
Yeah, some people,
Or you
man.
have a mortgage 30 years where it's like 30 years a lifetime, right? So I kind of now go into each situation thinking like, all right, it's just gonna be a 1 year, 5 year, 30 year thing, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I may say it's going to be 30, it runs to 5. I may think it's a year, runs longer, right? But I keep that in my mind and have exit strategies like, okay, how do we end this amicably?
Yeah.
So that way we still homies. Or we still, I don't have to say like, Deuce was a bad partner or whatever, or vice versa. He can say I'm a bad partner, right?
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of stuff, I mean, in retrospect, when you kind of break it down, when stuff gets, because if you're in a bad deal or if it's just a bad part of the deal or whatever the case is in a business, like if it's rubber hits the road, like if it really starts getting rough, you can tell a lot of people's character by how they react during that thing. And if it goes, if you're able to still meld it together, they're still respecting all those other things. When you look back at it, you're just like, oh, I could do a deal again, or I could do another, venture or whatever the case is, like with that individual, because like even when stuff, wasn't going as best, like y'all was still kind of, there was positive intent and everybody was trying to solve the problem and all those other things. And then you have just some that just knock out the park, and those are great deals. And, everybody's really good and partners and buddy when you get a good deal. But then,
Of
if you
course.
get into something bad, then, it's a little bit different. And then you got to be able to kind of define that way back if that's something you want to pursue. Or like Pat said, just choose as individuals to say, hey, no bad feelings or anything like that, but I'm going this direction, I'm going that direction. And you still say what's up to somebody, but like you have those different types of things as
I
well.
mean,
So
you wanted to continue to do real estate. You was like, come on, Pat, I got another deal. And I was like, hey, man, I'm gonna go and chase the DJing thing. And you was
yes,
like,
yes, yeah.
boy, I've been doing that for 10 years. I'm about tired of that. And I'm like, I see this vision. He was like, I see this vision. He was like, our visions don't align. We're gonna go ahead and split. And then,
Yes.
we had Kool-Aid at your house at Sunday, right? Like it's
Pretty
all,
much, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, like, and
And
that'll
that's
happen.
how it
So
works.
yeah,
So no, but that's how
Mhm.
it works. So once you find those partnerships, you build on them. Pat, I like how you said that analogy of the lease, our car statement
Yeah,
or
car
an
note.
mortgage.
Hmm.
yeah, Cardinal, yeah,
Yeah, like that analogy really puts a lot of things into perspective because you can appreciate whatever you gained or learned from that experience with that person, and whether it was business, and you grow from it. You take that to the next business, and all right, you already know this is not what I'm going to do or settle for, and now you continue to grow like that. And I tell a lot of people I call myself a serial entrepreneur, and you learn something from each stage, right? And that goes with those partnerships as well.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, most what I've noticed is most entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, and you see this on Shark Tank, you see this on pretty much all of them. There's a lot of failure, right? I mean, as far as from but learning from those failures, really how you handle it, right? So if you fail and you just quit, it's different if you quit and you pivot, right? Like for Pat, like he said, oh, I had this real bad deal. It really got rough for me, but he pivoted and he focused on something else. He didn't quit entrepreneurship altogether and just say, hey, I'm done. Like I'm just gonna stick to this and all this other stuff. He pivoted and focused, and like so there's different ways to kind of handle all that and do
I
like you
mean,
were saying
it gets
before.
bad in the DJ world too, right?
Yeah, man.
I've been scammed out of money, right? People didn't pay me. I had to pay other people I didn't eat that weekend or that month, and I have to put up money for equipment. People broke into my car, stole
Yeah.
equipment. Like you just gotta keep
Yep, that's happened to me
pushing.
too. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. That's good to kind of touch on because, there's good, bad, and other when it comes to the, entrepreneurship, all of those things. Glad we got to touch on those things. And so finally, Pat, what's going on right now actively? Like, how can people reach you? What are your current, aspirations with your business? I know you were talking about that before
Mm.
with the venue and everything like that, but like actively, just tell us about your company as it stands today.
Yeah, DJ Stash LLC right now is a solo op, so that means single person, singly ran. I do contract things out if I'm not available. The vision with that is to become a multi-op where it's not DJ Stash, it's kind of other DJs that go out and do their thing, right? But I teach them my process and kind of the way that I go about things and my personality with different events, and they got get that DJ Stash stamp of approval and they get sent out. You can email me at info@stash like you stashing some money, stash.net. My Instagram is DJ Stash underscore official. That's my Instagram. You'll see all my work there. DM me, reach out to me, easy to get a hold of. I check all that myself. Man, that's it, man.
Oh, that's not automated. No automated. Like, nah, they look
Nah,
like they're
nah,
broke.
man.
Got the image
Well,
recognition. Nah,
look,
they look broke. I'm
I keep
well,
that
look,
close. I keep that close,
hey,
man.
listen, if you're ready to automate it, some of those tools and agents I gave you would be perfect to do
Yeah,
that. I got a couple closing questions for you, DJ
yeah, for sure.
Stash. So, in this new era of AI and the tools that are out there, what is your favorite LLM to use?
Oh, man, right now it's Chat GPT. I haven't
Okay.
switched over yet to Claude,
Hey,
but Chat
listen,
GPT is the one I
nothing wrong
use
with it. I'm
the
telling you,
most.
ChatGPT has become a household name. It is
Man,
what everyone knows. I'm just going to
mhm.
chat it. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. And
No,
this
yeah.
one I like to,
Now I would
and
say
this
now
one
let
I
me
like,
and I got a good friend that helped me figure out how to do like everything with it, right? And use like actually
yeah.
chatting, let it talk back to you. Yeah, it's been
And I
my
would say it's an
Jarvis.
absolute dynamic tool. But GPT-5 is a great LLM, as well as every tool. But everyone has their perks. So okay, that's good. Chat
Yeah.
GPT. We're gonna have to start keeping track of that, DJ.
It
Look,
won
look.
it
Once you
won the
once you
market,
for
man.
me as it is
First to
right now. I
market.
know Claude 4.6 is a beast right now, but I personally still like Gemini 3.1 and all
listen,
those other stuff.
I'm
Like,
still on Gemini as well, but I
But see,
just
y'all
got on with
Android users,
Perplexity.
right?
Nah, I
he
got the
still call us
Yeah,
iPhone.
Android.
y'all
We
know
got
the
Yeah, we
marketplace is cold.
both.
You on iPhone? Because
We both.
yes,
sometimes it
we
be
both
Yeah.
it
on
close the
iPhone.
marketplace. All right, I'm gonna have to try it then. I didn't know
Nah,
it was
listen.
on.
Nah.
Gemini is like that. I ain't gonna lie. I use it for a
No,
lot of
I mean
things.
no, I believe it because remember the thing was I'm gonna just Google it, right?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna ask insert your LLM, right? So I'm gonna have to try that because everything is
Yeah,
on
Listen,
Google.
yeah. I know.
yeah, and I
I mean, you can't go wrong with it. I mean, the big three, if it's Anthropic, ChatGPT, I mean,
well,
and of
listen.
course,
I'm telling you,
some of
I'm
the
actually leaning heavy on
open source
Perplexity
models.
now. Now that I got this
Yeah.
Perplexity computer, listen, I might lean a little heavy on that one now. Listen,
Yeah. And
watch
then,
out.
but, with Claude, they have
Computer, listen, I might lean a little heavy on that one now. Listen,
yeah, and
watch
then
out.
but with Claude, they have a Claude Cowork. So Pat, that was one
Yes.
of the things I was gonna say. Definitely check out Claude Cowork because that can also you can set up automations now. They've really invested into that as well. Of course, Open Claude. Now, Open Claude would suggest, for my, developers or engineers and everything like that, if you have more of that background, because you do want to add some additional layers on there to secure it a little bit more, or you can go like what Deuce was talking about with Perplexity Computer, which is, the way that they implement it to be a little bit more secure. And then,
See,
of course, Cloud Code.
y'all gonna need to put y'all need to make a list where it's like, here's my favorite
Hey,
AI
Yeah,
tool for
we
yeah,
have a list.
particular
You
thing,
know
right?
what? You know what? That's a great idea. We'll add that bit in. DJ, start just bringing up our top five. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Just for the week or month or whatever.
and for different use cases too, right? Because I mean, like you know,
Absolutely.
Use case,
yeah,
yeah.
there's
We
different
can
use
dive
cases that
into
you.
we can have overall. We have the specified use cases. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna
Shout
show
out to
y'all a
Pat.
lady who I know that she got something like that where she breaks down her different tools and why, and she rates it. I'm gonna send that to
Yeah,
y'all
yeah.
offline.
Yeah, you can send it to us offline. We can plug it in the chat. And we with our community, we're all about. I mean, you can plug the podcast that you were mentioning before. Like, you know, we definitely want to any people
We
that are in there.
share here.
Yeah, we
We're
share. I
just
mean, because
trying
in
to
this
be
one,
here.
like everything's, you know, unless you have something, your own model that you cooked up yourself, a lot of this is, you know, not closed source, but there are some open source, but a lot of this is just open to the public consumers anywhere that they can use and leverage. But people that spend more time with these tools are definitely benefiting. And one thing we can
Hey man,
touch
this
on
is
next
called
time, Pat, is
autonomous
like,
income, man. That means I can't just be dropping people names and not getting no income. You know what I'm
now
saying?
you know, we
You
got
know what
you.
I'm saying? It's an
We got
autonomous
you. Got
income.
you.
I don't know who this
Yeah.
gonna go out to, right? You know, they getting free publicity, and I'm sitting here
Might
eating
get
a
free
ham and
for it.
cheese
Yeah.
sandwich. I don't even eat ham. You know, I eat pork. So you know I'm struggling.
All in all, is the thing is it's like, you know, there's a lot of tools. And what I'm saying is like with these LLMs and just whatever the tools that are that you're using now, there's world models and some other things with technology. A lot of people, even at work, that's helping them become better, you know, employees as well. So that way they can focus and be high performers at work, because we're all about being high performers at work and then high performers, of course,
Mhm.
with your own companies. And that's the ultimate goal. So a lot of these tools are making that easier for you to achieve and kind of duplicate your efforts. So. That's
Absolutely.
it.
Yes.
That's it.
Hey,
Deuce, you got
listen,
anything else?
we look, man, we appreciate you coming on and being the first guest on Autonomous Income. And for those listening and watching, let us know what y'all thought about Pat's input of the interview and how we can grow from here. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.